Hello, Ben here from CSL, back with another video delving into different aspects of Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord. Our previous video looked into the different factions of Bannerlord. Be sure to go check that one out. This video will take a look at what type of weapons will be available in Bannerlord and what factions have an affinity for them, if any. Like the last video, this is something I've already written about over on clickshootloot.com. However, for those who don't like to read, as always, this video is for you. We've combed through hours of videos and read everything we can, so let's take a look at the weapons of Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord. Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord, like its predecessor, Mount & Blade Warband, will feature a host of different weapons to equip and encounter on the battlefield. Those who are familiar with the Mount & Blade series may recognize many of these weapons, however in Bannerlord you'll encounter even more weapons and with greater variety. You also have the ability to craft and customize melee weapons, which we may get into in another video. Like previous Mount & Blade games, you'll have 4 weapon slots in your inventory. Generally, the weapons in Bannerlord fit into 2 categories, melee weapons and ranged weapons. We also have shields, but we're not going to get into those in this video. First up, we got the melee weapons. For those of you who like to get down and dirty, who like to smell the sour breath of your enemies while shoving a dagger into their groin or splitting their skull with a two-handed war axe, Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord features a host of sharpened instruments to help you with your endeavors. Bannerlord melee weapons have 3 damage types: blunt, pierce, and cut. Pretty straightforward. Your blunt damage comes from weapons like hammers and maces, your piercing damage comes from a blade thrust attack, and cutting damage comes from a blade swing attack. While cutting damage is very powerful against light armor types, piercing damage is more potent against heavy armor types, with blunt damage landing somewhere in the middle. So let's take a look at the weapons. First up, we got daggers. Let's be honest, who uses daggers? You can't block with them, and I'm sure they don't put out much damage. Perhaps there's something sneaky you can do with them, you know? I do know some weapons in Bannerlord you can toggle from throwing mode to melee mode with the click of the keyboard. Next up are swords, the bread and butter of medieval games. There are a litany of swords and sword types in Bannerlord for you to use. Swords are faster than most weapons. You can get them in the two-handed variety, which are heavier and deal more damage but need more space to swing around. And you can also get them in the one-handed variety, which pair well with shields and work wonders in close quarters. Swords, as well as other weapons in Bannerlord, come with the balanced, half-balanced, and unbalanced affixes. In Warband, if I remember correctly, and I might not be remembering correctly, balance affected how fast you could switch to a blocking stance or recover from a swing. However, unbalanced weapons are great when it comes to smashing things to bits, like shields, castle doors, and your opponent's ugly faces. Just a few of the many swords we've seen in the game include the arming sword, the heavy sword, the light sword, the Empire short sword, and the falx. Next up, we got axes. Now, axes, like swords, come in the one-handed and two-handed varieties. Like the two-handed sword, a two-handed axe deals out a ton of damage, but is unwieldy and difficult to use in close quarters. You need room to swing or your blows won't do any damage because they won't have any speed behind them, and yes, that is a thing in this game. Some of the axes we've seen in the game include the Nordic axe, the Battanian one-handed light axe, the one-handed heavy axe, and the heavy berserker axe. From watching Bannerlord gameplay, we've come to learn that the Battanians and the Sturgians seem to favor the axe more than other factions. Hammers and maces. Now, hammers and maces seem to be the jack-of-all-trades weapon in the game. Blunt damage is suitable for all types of armor, however they don't excel at any one type of damage. Some of the blunt instruments we've seen in the game include the military hammer and the mace, which you can see this guy on a horse just destroying people with a mace right now. Next up, we got polearms. Now, hardcore warband players know the polearm is a devastating instrument on the battlefield, especially on a horse where you have power and speed behind your attack. Like I said before, speed does affect damage in a game, so if you impale someone with a polearm, going full speed on a horse, you will do an unbelievable amount of damage. You can one-shot a horse, actually. Conversely, if you're barely moving, your polearm could do 0 damage. Polearms have a lot of reach and include weapons such as spears, lances, pikes, bardiches, I think that's how you pronounce it. These weapons are not only strong on horseback, but they're also strong against horses. They're strong against cavalry. If you're holding out a polearm and a horse charges right into you, you're going to deal a lot of damage. Where the polearm fails is in single combat, as they're more suitable for a charge attack than swinging around. Take note that some of the larger polearms, such as pikes, will drop to the ground if you switch to a sidearm. We know the Vlandians and the Empire like these weapons, specializing in deadly lance-wielding cavalry. Some polearms we've seen in the game include the heavy lance, step lance, war spear, and cavalry spear. Next up, we got farm tools. Now, farm tools aren't perfect for battle, and I haven't seen any video of anyone using farm tools, so I don't know what I'm showing you here, but it's definitely not farm tools. But sometimes farm tools is all you got, especially if you're an NPC farmer fighting off bandits. Now, the average player won't equip these, but if you were so inclined, you could technically ride into battle wielding a pitchfork. Now, for those of you who prefer to attack your foes from afar, Bannerlord features a host of ranged weapons to assist you in raining death from a distance. First up, much like the dagger, we have throwing knives. Now, like I said, I'm not sure if all daggers can be thrown, but we do know knives in Bannerlord can be toggled from melee mode to throwing mode. More powerful than a throwing knife, axes can also be toggled from throwing mode to melee mode. Although some axes, such as the Francisca, are designed to be thrown and cannot be toggled to melee mode. Throwing axes deal devastating damage and are great for taking down opponents' shields. The downside is they're pretty inaccurate. Like in Warband, javelins are incredibly deadly, however they're slow and laborious to use. Like throwing axes, they're great at destroying shields. We know the Empire skirmisher units love to use them, and the Aserai camel cavalry wield them with great accuracy. According to Tale Worlds, there will be a large variety of javelins to use in the game, and I think you also might be able to craft your own javelins. I'm not sure about that. Now, where swords may be the bread and butter of the melee world, bows hold that position in ranged weaponry. While venturing out in Calradia, you'll encounter a large variety of short bows, longbows, and recurve bows. Now, longbows are slow to reload, but have long range and deal heavy damage. Recurve bows, on the other hand, have high projectile speeds, but a slower reload time, whereas short bows have a fast reload time with lower projectile speeds. We know the Battanians have an affinity for the longbowmen, and that the Khuzait specialize in cavalry archers. Some of the bows we've seen in the game include the mountain hunting bow, the Ranger's short bow, the strong longbow, and the Palatine composite bow, which I think is an Empire bow. Next up, we got crossbows. Now, crossbows are more powerful and accurate than your standard bow, but they take a really long time to reload, and some of them cannot be used on horseback. However, if you want to rain down terror from atop a besieged castle wall, the crossbow is your crutch. Give them hell. Next up, like farm tools, we got rocks. Now, rocks are the ranged weapons of peasants. Laughable at first, try being on the receiving end of 20 angry farmers wielding stones. Not so fun. We've also seen rocks being used in siege gameplay, like you can see right now, being dropped on attackers through murder holes in castle walls. A great addition to siege gameplay, I might add. Anyways, there's your weapons in Mount and Blade Bannerlord. If you liked the video, please hit that subscribe button, as I'll take that as an indication that you want me to make more. Head on over to clickshootloot.com for all your gaming news, and I'll see you next time.